let's move on to our next caller. We've got a few people left on the lines here. So let's talk to David, he, him in Romania. It sounds like your mom had an experience with God. What's that story? I'm really curious.
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
What's your question?
Hello, guys. So I'm an atheist, and my mom, as I said, is a Christian. And the reason why she is a Christian is because when she was in the hospital, she saw Jesus or God. I don't really understood how she said. I think she saw God, and I couldn't believe her because she had no evidence. And I told him that she's mental and things like that, and that she was hallucinating. And my question for you guys is, if you were in a similar situation, you are at home alone, and God reveals Himself to you, and let let's say you will be no longer an atheist, right?
Well, it depends because I would need to verify whether or not it was actually God that I was seeing. I'd have a difficult time demonstrating that. Adam, what are your thoughts?
A few years ago, I was I was doing something called compare program, which is dealing with or being friends with people with severe mental illness. And I happened to have a very good friend who suffered from schizophrenia. And they see people in their house, and they interact with and they talk with, especially when they're off their medication. Um, Now, one of the first things I got in the training is that do not dismiss their experience. Never tell them that, oh, you're imagining things and these things never happen. Talk to them and ask about their experience and ask critical questions in the process. But that's beside the point. What I'm trying to say is just because someone claims to have seen something, or even if I claim to have seen my great grandpa who died 100 years ago appear to me, or God appeared to me, I have to verify that it is not hallucination or schizophrenic episode. Um, it is really a genuine experience. And I guess it's not about God just revealing himself to me at home. I really have to have a conversation with God and ask all the questions that have been buzzing in my head, and I really want answers more than just, oh, okay, well, here I go, I just saw God as a flash of light appearing in my living room. That wouldn't do anything to me, because at the end of the day it can be hallucination. So it need to be very verified experience, in a way, because we know that it happens, it can be some form of hallucination. So how do you make that difference is the key.
Yes. But
Yeah, what do you think?
if God really reveals Himself and He's showing you that He's actually really God, and He is answering all your questions, everything, then
Then I
let's
have
say
no choice but to
that,
believe.
yes, exactly. That's what happened to my mom. And the next day, she told me that she saw God. And
Mhm.
I said that maybe you were hallucinating and things like that. But she said that no, she weren't. It was God, and that's why she's a believer. So my question is for you: if you really see God and He reveals Himself to you, you are no longer an atheist. The next day, what are you doing? How would you tell to the people that you saw God without sounding that you're mental?
Well, so the thing for me is, um, for me to verify whether or not I had an experience with God at all, I'd have to go through a whole process, really making sure that I can verify that there is evidence that that is actually what I saw. Of course, there are plenty of causes for things that might make me think that I saw God. And there's a little exercise that I like to do with a lot of people when they have any. You can do this with pretty much any claim, but you say, all right, this is the experience I had. Let's say maybe I saw a face appear in front of me and I heard a voice that said it was God. That's one example. Or with Adam's example of I saw a flash of light in my room one evening, or I saw an alien outside of my backyard. Those are all claims that I can say, all right, what could have caused me to have this experience? And one of them might be a hallucination. That's probably a very likely possibility. There's also what if somebody was playing a prank on me and they were dressed up in a costume? That's a possibility. If there's a possibility that I had, like, if I had used drugs around that time, I've heard calls from people who've used drugs and then said that they've had a experience with God. So the more things I add to this list, I can add probably several different potential causes to why I had this experience. And then what I need to do is not just say, well, it obviously has to be God. I have to go through each possibility and say, why is it this one or why isn't this one? How would I demonstrate that this is the reason? Like, how would I demonstrate that this is or isn't a person dressed up in a costume? Well, I live alone and there wasn't anybody else in my apartment that day. It makes it maybe less likely of a possibility. Kind of go down the list and rule things out. So assuming that I had gone through that kind of process to verify that it was God that I saw, I would hope that that evidence would be consistent and I could tell people the next day, this is what I saw and here's the evidence to demonstrate why I believe it was God and why I don't believe it was these other things. And you should, if that's an experience that you had, I'm willing to bet that other people have had similar experiences with similar justification. And I'm not saying that because a lot of people had the same experience that makes it true, but it adds more to kind of a peer review process. You can have more of a sample size to then further justify it. So I would take that kind of scientific approach. Adam, what would you do?
Two more things to add to what you said, and first of, I agree with everything you said, Ben. But two more things. I think that a personal experience will forever remain a personal experience. There is no way I can somehow take my personal experience and make it an evidence for others to follow my personal experience, because it's not evidence based. It's a personal experience. And to illustrate or to make a point here, have you, David, have you seen the movie Beautiful Mind by Russell Crowe, which is a true
No,
story, by the way? Okay, it's a brilliant movie, and it's a true story about a Nobel Prize scientist. But the point I'm trying to make is, so he was imagining people for like 20 years. There were these two characters who constantly visited him, and the point I'm trying to make is, if a person is having these kind of hallucination, they don't necessarily go around, they look mad or they look like mentally incapable. This guy was very mentally capable and a Nobel Prize winner scientist, yet he imagined things that were not real. So first of all, having that personal experience, and even if I'm doubting what your mom may have seen or what I may have seen, it doesn't mean that I clearly look like a mentally troubled person. I can be completely perfect, yet having these experiences. And for that reason, a personal experience will remain a personal experience. If God wants to reveal himself in a way that needs to be preached to humanity at large, if a lot of people need to believe in God, that he cannot just reveal himself through a personal experience, because it will remain a personal experience. The maximum impact will me believing, and I can talk to people about it, but they don't necessarily are going to believe me. So yeah, it's I don't think it's going to be impactful, that method in general, having a personal experience, no matter how I talk about it or how I preach it or how I try to show evidence for it. It's not going to be impactful because it's a personal experience.
Yes, I agree.
Any other thoughts,
Thank you guys
David?
very much. That's it. Thank you very much.
All right. I hope that we
Thank you.
clarified things for you and helped answer your question, but thank you for calling in.